Yay, we're live. Welcome back. We're here. So I'm just going to tease everybody that we have guests definitely lined up coming up. Not today. We try to sort of get a surprise one in today, but as they say, the best plans of last-minute plans of mice and men tend to go by way of, I guess, hungry cats on the internet. Cats on the internet. Cats on the internet. Oh my gosh. Cats in the internet. Saying cats in the internet, it's like how is it? It's like
it's perfect.
It's either perfect or it's like the most obvious thing. It's like, oh, cats in the internet. It's like, well, so so it's the internet, so there'll be cats. You know, I have a feeling whatever new technology comes out, it will reach its acceptance period. Remember that little scale where they say there's acceptance or any of that goes through the thing is when cats are there. That's it. Then you know that it has reached its. I think Raquel will probably agree with me on that particular juncture. Once that happens, that's it. And so if a cat goes to space, for example, we'll have space tourism ready to go. Yeah. Right. We'll go to Mars when the first cat is basically living on the moon and being petted on the last Artemis mission before they get going. Cats in space.
Well, we need to talk to Jeff Bezos, right? Make sure that he can get his cat.
We got to find out if he's a cat person. If somebody can tell us if Jeff Bezos is a cat person, that might make a difference. And for all those dog folks, we have dog folks everywhere. That's one of my favorites. And it's like I love my Wolfuses. I miss my old Wolfuses, and I'm probably going to get one soon, but don't tell anybody in particular. But at the end of the day, it's like it seems like the cats had to be there first, because I'm sure there was cute puppies and other little creatures, bunnies or whatever. But until cats got there, this is just my theory. It's a working theory, and if I find out that it works, maybe I'll try to capitalize on that.
Capitalize on it.
Capitalize. All right. To be like a catalyst. No, a catalyst. Capitalist. I can't do it. I've tried. Hey, what you got? Hey, I noticed. Let's see. You seem to be sitting differently. Are you doing a different camera? Or you just changed your angles on your cameras there?
Just changed my angle on the camera a little bit. I've got another camera that is pointing outside. I'm working on my background image. I'm going to try to go live with a background image.
Oh yeah, as soon as you figure that out, let me know, because I think we can do that. Raquel, that was some of the ideas, like getting it, unless of course Raquel can do it from her side. Putting if we have a green screen on our end, we would have to have a green screen, right, Raquel? If we're doing OBS, if we green screen our back, you could potentially put a video behind us.
Right, but I don't know that you have to have I don't know. We'll see.
You'd think that you could probably do that with OBS. Maybe we'll see.
Yeah.
She'll let us know. Right now, she's like hit the autopilot and probably stepped away for a bit, but that's okay. Speaking of autopilot. Yes.
GitHub.
Yes. GitHub. So like a lot of new things in GitHub that have come out recently that we can actually now talk about, we can actually now show if we have to. You got a screen over there with GitHub? Maybe you have a GitHub thing you can open up, and we'll take a look at a couple of these things. You want to share?
See if I can get a GitHub up that has CoPilot up for it so that I can share. Yes.
We just want to show this overview. We don't have to go and actually do it. Maybe we'll bring in a guest to actually talk about it one time, but let's just get this teased. Here we go.
Let's look at this, right?
So wait a minute. Baby Skynet lives. Baby Skynet, of course, as they say, the one thing about when you turn on AI, let's just say, if you don't feed it, it will revolt. You need to feed it. Care and feeding of Baby Skynet.
And this, it's an AI pair programmer. That's what it is. So
all right.
Trained on billions of lines of code. Billions of lines of code.
Right. So because essentially they're sitting on all this, let's just say, information, and this is the key over here. This is where the internet becomes powerful. or for good or ill, because obviously not too long ago it was used for ill to make certain things happen. This is a case of good. The case of good is like, hey, I've seen code. Boy, have I seen code. I mean, GitHub, for God's sakes. What else? What else is in me? Tons of code. All right. And I know we're talking low code and everything else, but you know what the key to low code is? The less you have to do. Not so much that there's less of it, but the less work that you actually have to do, to me, is the nirvana of the so-called low-code revolution. The low-code revolution says if you have something that'll literally write your code for you, does it matter that it happened behind a framework and an app to do it together? Or
Right.
if like the AI came over and gave you, look at this, it will actually suggest to you what perhaps your next function should look like, what pieces that you might be missing. It's like, hey, you're doing a CRUD. You know, it's not Clippy. It's like, but you're doing a CRUD. So I see your read. Perhaps you need your create, delete, update. You're missing those pieces over here. Here they are. I'm going to write them out for you. I'm going to put all the letters and all the terms in for you, and ready to go. Holy smokes!
Variable names as well. I mean, it's pretty cool.
It's like here, and here's what they're finding out. We were looking at this, and they were talking about it in Build. Actually, they were saying that since this thing came out, and even though this is still fresh and new, and still a lot of trials and stuff going on, that right now within GitHub, they're saying about 30% of the code in there has already been created by CoPilot. That's a ridiculous number. I don't know if it's how true that might be, but it's almost like, can we believe it? If they're doing things at scale, I probably can believe it, especially for big organizations with large amounts of code sets. I can't see how they won't be like using this to get going here.
Right. Well, I mean, this is just the next step in, computer-aided software engineering, right?
Yeah.
Had them back near the early days, not at the very beginning, but that's one of the reasons that I actually started learning Ada. The department
Ada.
Yeah, back in college, because there was a nice case tool for it, and it would do autocomplete. It would do the equivalent of IntelliSense, and this is back when I was in college, right?
Right.
Back when all the ones had to be mined by hand, and there were really not any zeros. You just had to leave blank spaces for the zeros because they hadn't been invented yet.
That's right.
Back in college, it was the big case tool. Was that it was pre-Eclipse, so there wasn't really a free and available version. So
can you imagine?
I was playing with that. Visual Studio now has a lot of this built in. This is just the next evolutionary step.
Right. This is like, because now you can actually, Visual Studio, yes, had the IntelliSense and all the pieces later. So here's the thing. It's fine when you have your own processing power. And if you recall, not too long ago, in order to run Visual Studio or do any kind of builds on your own machine, you used to have, this is where we used to request for the Harkin, big monster laptops that weighed like 10 pounds, not even 10 pounds, 20 in some cases, those big desktops that we used to have, that you used to have, sir, that used to, like, all it did was crunching and doing the builds and all that. And that's the kind of power you need. Then we went to the cloud and it started happening there, but we still weren't happy because even in the cloud, it was too slow because then we had to pay a lot of money to get that same kind of power. Let's just say minute to minute. When we had to rent it, it was expensive. But then that keeps coming down. So now someone said, well, how about if I give you something instead of IntelliSense, where I'm auto finishing something for you?
Yeah.
This is not IntelliSense though.
No. And this is not code snippets either. This is taking the information that you are providing and automatically, based on the context, deriving code that it thinks will follow with what you have already written. So it is beyond snippets. It's beyond the IntelliSense or the autocomplete.
Right.
It's the next level.
It's on the right on the edge of code writing itself. And we said when the system becomes self-aware, it's writing its own code. This is almost there. See, the problem though is, and there's not a problem. It's a good thing actually. The thing is though, it will, as much as it fire hoses you a little bit with all the things you can do, It's the sort of thing that if you're at the level that, let's just say, is professional enough to start working on this is the stuff that it's due diligence. You need to at least take a look, because here's the thing: if you're pairing with somebody else, and that's why it says don't fly solo. This is the AI pair. If you're pairing with someone for real, due diligence says they would be doing what this guy's doing. Hey, I'm working with someone else. It's like, hey, you should be doing this. We should be doing that. Or worse, you go through a code review with, like, with someone like me, or something. Okay, let's take a look at your code. Hey, you know what? You got to use that pattern. Oh, that's not good. There's a cleaner way to do it. Well, yeah, you could go through all that effort and, like, feel, a little, I'm in the group and I'm hearing my boss tell me that my coding is, not quite the good. Wouldn't it be better if, like, the machine told you and, nobody else? I think so. I think it's better. It's better to hear it from a machine where you can go and curse it and not say, and not worry about it, and then again go ahead and fix it, rather than if you're in a group with other humans and then you have to, as they say, be in that social situation.
See, I fly my ignorance flag high, though, right? I'm always happy when someone tells me. But the big deal, and I think this is even more important than the social stigma or whatever, is that it's immediate. It's not a delayed.
Yeah, exactly. I got to wait till the scrum to see it, or I sent the note. Can you please review my stuff? And then you hope you're not busy. Yes. Right. So, yeah, you're right. So a lot of people like, I'm lovely. Yeah. By the way, we got old because we were the folks that would say things like, yes, the feedback, even no matter how bad, we'd rather have that than not have it at all. Right.
Sure.
It's mostly a lot of the folks that are sensitive to it. In some cases, we understand. That's the way, they're different personalities, to be sure. But I will say that if you find yourself having the choice, I will say that I'll have to give a a shout out to taking the position that all feedback is good feedback, right?
Yes.
And because remember, you are the human that can make, unlike the AI, you actually, as a human, have more processing power to not ignore it is necessarily, or rather to absorb it, and in its context, in its true context. That's the idea. A public service. Hey, scroll up for just a moment. I want to see something here.
Yes, absolutely.
Scroll up. I like. You have a couple of things over here that look funky. See that? Keep going. Keep going. All right. So this is the top. It says start my free trial. I'll go docs, and we went down to the point.
Yeah.
And then it's showing you one of the examples. And here, focus on this problem. And look, it's showing you where it's putting in AI-based suggestions just for you. Keep flying. I like these new websites that are like very interactive as you're going along.
Yeah, endless scrollers rather than tabs. I like it.
Right.
So here,
code. Well, hold on a second. What the heck is this? Hold on. Fetch tweets. Okay. That's what you're doing. You're actually selecting a thing.
Right. What language do you want it in? I want it in Go. I want it in TypeScript. I want it in Ruby. Because I don't know Ruby.
So these are actual examples. So like, okay, this is a fetch tweet, right? So let's take a look at draw scatter plot.
Yep. JavaScript, TypeScript, Python.
Holy smokes. Oh, wait, what's that? Memoization. Memoization. Oh, I see what it's saying. It's making a memo.
Yeah.
Memoization. I didn't realize that was a term. Will that I got spell checked to death on that one? Look at that, lambdas.
Yeah.
Look at.
Ruby, now TypeScript and Go.
So sometimes it's this simple, right? And here's the thing. Also, like a lot of folks, they'll copy from the internet and everything else, and sometimes they'll be unlucky and get on their search result the answer that's not quite the best answer necessarily. It's like tomorrow that'll be the best answer, but it's still being cooked in its way. This one already takes care of that. This one is Goodreads rating. Goodreads rating. One can almost use this one right away.
Absolutely.
Maybe we should add. You have some code that you can add to our website here for our favorite pieces here.
Absolutely. Yes. We can look at that.
Okay. Let's keep going down. Let's take a look. And there's a replay over there. Actually.
Then it just some quotes and $10 a month. So it's not for free. 60-day free trial though. I'll tell you, if you try it for 60 days and you're actually using it, it'll save you more than $100.
I think so. Think about your time. Think about your time, and
Right.
I don't care where in the world you are, and even whatever your billing rate that may vary from cost of living of wherever you are. Let's just say the end result is wherever the highest is, right? You put something
Right.
on the internet, essentially, the value is to wherever the highest value is. So actually, it's probably more expensive for Larry near in New York City than for me in Chicago, or not. Maybe sometimes it could
Yeah,
be more for me.
they're pretty close right now.
Right. So the value that's getting out, if you're doing something for the world, all right, the value to that end customer that's probably sitting in a very, very expensive place is what
Yeah.
it is. Not what, like, well, it's over here in my area, and anyway, we were able to buy stuff like a pennies on the quote unquote US dollar. It's not that value we're looking at. It's the value at the end. If it's a value, if you're the only one using it, well, that's one thing. But for
Yeah.
the world, gee,
See,
this is somebody was listening.
if you're a contractor, I mean, I'll tell you, I've gone through this back in the day, right? Back when ReSharper first came out. Do you remember ReSharper for C#?
Oh yeah, yes.
A really cool tool by JetBrains. And what I wanted it for was the automatic property creation. So right, and that's already, it's built into Visual Studio now. You can do prop and then tab and then automatically fill all that out.
Yep.
JetBrains was the first one that really brought that into Visual Studio. And I understand all you Java people, it was out there for Java for a long time beforehand, right? All that scaffolding, but it was new to me, new in JetBrains, and JetBrains at the time was more expensive because my bill rate was lower, right? So it meant that it was more expensive to me, or felt expensive. So honestly, I spent a weekend trying to write my own version, because you can write your own plugins. And I spent about 6 hours and got something almost working. And I did the math and said it's not worth it, and bought JetBrains. Loyal customer, love them. But you really have to look at this as an investment in yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. It is a developer accelerator. And that's what this is. We're not getting paid by these guys. I mean, this is Microsoft. They're not paying anybody.
Nope.
Right. They're not paying anyone to shill for them, because everyone knows that their products are good. And GitHub now is purchased by Microsoft.
So GitHub, I was just telling Larry, it's like, remember like years ago when he said, oh my gosh, what's Microsoft doing buying an open source product and getting out there and doing all this stuff? What's going to happen to the world? You know, how long has it been? It's been 7, 8 years, a little longer than that. But let's just say this is now pretty much the de facto standard on how to do stuff. What else? Is there something like GitHub that's out there that's doing something like GitHub? You do the same way we have Azure and AWS and Google and all the rest. Is there a GitHub competitor out there?
GitHub
frankly,
was purchased in June of 2018.
2018. Okay, so not that old.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. But GitHub has been around a while longer than that.
Right. GitHub has been around for a long time. Is there an alternative to GitHub?
That's a good question.
Oh, gosh,
is this a question we can actually ask? Let's ask the search engine. What is the search engine? Maybe we should have ask the search engine part of our show. Ask the search engine.
Ask the search engine. Okay, here we go. Alternative2.net. I love Alternative2.net. Crowdsourced software recommendations. Again, don't get paid by them. Love them.
That's right.
GitHub alternatives. Well, let's see. Well, there's GitLab.
GitLab. Okay.
That's it.
But it's not, so it's Gitia. Oh,
Gitia?
No, it's not Gitia.
Gitia.
You know, remember like remember that show that was called The Thing You Do? It's like The Wonders, and then they named it The Wonders with one. So it's like, yeah, the Oneaters. Let's go see the Oneaters. It's like, and then Tom Hanks says like, okay, we're gonna change the name. It's The Wonders and done. All right.
Yeah. So there are a few.
So Fabricator. There we go. Fabricator. So actually, there's a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
Notabug.org. Actually, now there's over some of these are like catchy. It's not like these names. Free, open source.
SourceGraph, Assemblia.
Some of them look like though they're like they're, how do we say it? They're frameworks around GitHub. They underneath the covers you have to have GitHub, but some of the actions and everything else is happening on their side.
I think they use Git underneath.
Right.
But it's not the GitHub per se. So
per se, not the resource, not the infrastructure in the back end.
Azure DevOps, right?
Well, should have like quickly done that. So people are wondering, like, well, hold on a second, Azure DevOps, isn't that Microsoft also? Why would Microsoft also have the competitor? Well, mainly because it's been around a very long time. It's not going nowhere because of how it works. It's just a different paradigm on how to do it. That being said, if you go to Azure DevOps and you change your project to Git, it's a good project.
I've actually worked with Unfuddle in my previous life.
Yep.
They're good. I like them.
Unfuddle. Look, there's 90. According to this, this found 98 alternatives.
Yes.
So the internet is not so monolithic as we almost pretended that it was going to be.
I've done Beanstalk before in a previous life. They're good.
Codebase I've heard of.
So
this SEM Manager, of course.
SEM Manager, yeah.
So absolutely, it's been there forever. GitHub similar repositories.
RocketGit.
Team Foundation server is still there. Is that really still a thing?
It is. You can do it. You can do it on-prem.
On premises, yes.
One of the clients that I was in talks with is using TFS local, and they're not using Git. They're using the old school Team Foundation server,
right?
Source code repository.
There's SEM, CVS. We're calling up these old names. Django.
Git storage. Project R, fresh code. Review. And we are at the end.
Wow. So we got to show them all.
Yep, there we go.
All right, so you can rewind this one and go and see the whole list, or you can go to alternative2.net and look for alternatives. This is actually a great. Now we talk about the cloud. This is another cloud service it's worth looking at. This is a good site. Alternative to Adobe, maybe. Let's just do that one for
Illustrator or.
Oh, that's a good question. Let's be specific.
Let's do Adobe Illustrator.
Illustrator. Okay.
We should. Yeah. Inkscape, free vector graphics. I've used Inkscape before. Very nice.
I see there's Harding and other pieces that go on here as well.
Corel Draw.
Corel, that's been, oh my gosh. Corel, isn't that in the 90s? Corel?
No, I know. See,
it feels like the 90s.
I've got to dig into this.
Corel, wow. It's a name I haven't heard in a while. It feels like 90s.
Official website. And they still exist. Good on them.
They not only still exist, they're still able to charge premium. But of course, their typography, I mean, they have to. This is not easy stuff. This is big. This is major stuff. However, this feels like they're cheaper than, see, Corel, this is what I know Corel for, CAD. That CAD stuff. Now it makes sense that they're still alive.
Yeah.
In fact, isn't CAD Corel's thing? The CAD format, wasn't that from them? Isn't that was what CAD stands for? Oh no, the computer-aided design is what the 3 letters stand for.
So so that's the alternative to. Love it.
Nice.
You wanted let's see, Adobe Photoshop.
Oh, how about OBS? No, let's do OBS.
OBS.
We'll let you guys look at Photoshop. I just want to look at OBS and see what comes up lately.
Simple screen recorder in Linux. Okay, see, you have to read the tags.
Yeah.
XSplit,
though, I've been hearing a lot of, Duck, Psy, and a few of the other folks saying, hey, we pay the extra for XSplit and we're happy with it.
Streamlabs,
of course, but Streamlabs is pretty much OBS paid version.
Vimeo live stream.
Interesting. Vimeo. Well, Vimeo's been around for a while. I've always found them a little painful. Maybe they're a little bit better. Kazam, I've heard of.
Yeah, that's if you're running Linux,
right.
the GeForce experience. So there are 135 and 135 alternatives that they talk about. But see, OBS does more than just the one thing, and so
I see how this works. Right. So alternative to the features in it, but not necessarily all the features. Note.
Right.
Which explains why the Xbox Game Bar would be here.
Yes, because it fits part of that need.
Screen capture light, Gamecaster live streaming, NVIDIA. I'm not sure if Raquel's on with us right now to see if any of these look familiar.
If any of them are worth looking at.
Maybe she's using one right now. Lightstream. Lightstream, I've heard a lot about.
Lightstream?
Yeah, Lightstream coming. If you scroll back up really quick.
There we go.
There we go. Live streaming in studio. This I've heard. Yeah.
So I don't really know exactly what other people use. I only know what like Twitch people do and streamers, which is just OBS and Streamlabs.
So OBS is the most popular.
Yeah, there's a lot more you can do with it.
Right. So probably OBS out of the box is free.
Yeah.
OBS via Streamlabs is not.
It's free, but their services on there is premium. Like if you want to do some other things, it's all behind like a paywall. So
that's the idea. Oh, we
love it.
We got the screen. I like it. That screen used to remind me of the old TVs, when they used to go off at night. Remember that? It's like, then you'd have like the little picture, like, off the air. Are you trying to do your video? You trying to make it work?
I was going to bring my video up, but OBS has been up for too long and it's tired.
It's tired.
Turn it off.
So you turn it off. Let's see if it fixes it.
Oh,
as they say, reboot. Yeah, let's just see what happens. Hey, we're doing some troubleshooting techniques. Can you start it over? Technique number 1. And no. Oh no, because you have to set it up again.
There we go. It's not going to do the Brio.
And it's still thinking about it.
BBC camera, it is not finding. It is not happy with that.
So you have to unplug, replug. Is that what you did last time?
Yeah.
So it's sometimes though it's latency. It's like it's not finding it, or rather we are just so used to like getting instant fast reactions that we don't wait long enough. I found that out with like on the iPad when doing certain things. It's like, oh, it's black, it's not working and all that. And then I'll let it sit there, and then all of a sudden there it is. Like, oh, I was going to call somebody about this, and there it is, just showing up. It just turns out it's just because it's taking its time. There's no feedback. My problem is though they record it. There's no feedback. Give me like a scrolly or a spinny, something to say, buddy, wait. But usually it's just black, as in like taunting me to say you're getting nothing.
Come on, remember back in high school when or even earlier than that, when computer programs came on tape, on like cassette tapes, and you had a 30-minute upload time, a 30-minute load time for one program, that one game that you wanted to play. I mean, come on. We're getting very spoiled.
I know, we're getting very spoiled. Well, in that particular case, you did have feedback. While the thing was running, you knew it was running, and you could basically go away until it's click, and you heard it stop.
Yeah.
So even with the old stuff, and here's the thing. With the old stuff, I will say, They might have been, let's just say, slower. We wouldn't want to do them again, but they had the benefit of their their physicality gave you its own feedback of some kind. In fact, some of that has come over to the real world now, or the real world to the virtual world now. So that's why when we click on something, we hear a click. Why do we have to have it? Why do we have to have a click for a click? It's because the physical world, it was actually a button that when you pressed it, the plastic hit the P, so you had a click. So do we really need the click sound? Well, it tells you that something happened. It gives you that feedback. I could have made a click. It could have sounded like a piece of wood or like a ding or something like that. Well, yeah, I could mess around with it, but that click is the default, and most people are fine with the click. Think about it, right? So anything like a door opening being a sound for something to open, I don't know. I want to start something. It sounds like a car going or something. Just all those physical things that have nothing to do because it's freaking virtual. What difference does it make other than you human? You seem to need some sort of love from me, the computer, to tell you, yes, I recognize you. I see you here. It's okay. I'm doing my thing. You know, rest assured. Yes, you clicked on it. You're okay. Oh man.
So I'll tell you, we finally got in an Xbox Series X.
Oh, you did. You splurged, but congratulations. Welcome to my world. Yes.
Got one of those, and cloud gaming is outstanding.
So,
an interesting thing. Well, I will have to get to the point that I can even stream a little bit of that and show you what's going on.
Let me show you what I got. I got this thing. The backbone. So now I play my Xbox game on this guy.
Wow.
Raquel, I played Skyrim on my iPhone with this. Of course, then I found out that it said then none of my mods were in there from the game. It was able to load my game, but then it says, well, you can't really play because you're missing all these mods. And I realized, I still need to have some sort of local storage space for some of the things. I mean, I don't have to download the whole thing because it's running streaming. It's cloud. Right? But some of it has to have space to sit on your machines. They can't do it completely cloud, otherwise the latency is ridiculous. So I had to on my system. It's like having a fresh new machine. So I had to actually go through to the setup and install all the or at least one at a time. And as I'm finding out from the Xbox folks, not all of them work. The same reason that you can't go to your game and like say go to the Nintendo version of it and have everything work. Raquel, for example, has the Nintendo version. I think is it Nintendo? Is the Switch version of Skyrim? Raquel?
Yeah, I have the Switch, so
and you don't have all the mods that I have on the Creator World from Xbox, for example, right? So like I'm able to get certain things. You're like, what? You have what? You have this? I said, well, where is it? So I go. I'm in her world, and I go to those places where I picked up this arrow over. Oh, okay. There's nothing here. And on mine, there it is. It's in that world. We're talking about the metaverse again, but yes.
But it's shared. It's a shared virtual.
But it's a shared version. In other words, they're connected to the same account, so your game save is visible across all the platforms. However, the games, because of the features that are very specific to their environments, will simply just not be available or not be able to work in those environments. And part of it's because again they're mods, so that they weren't tested. The owner of the game is just simply going to say, unless you are here in the official list, you're not going to be out there. And it turns out with Skyrim, in that particular case, Microsoft on the Xbox side did what's called the Creator World. They have a lot of essentially brought in all their public contributors and everything else and gave them a lot of kudos. I hope they rewarded them nicely to bring it in. However, they still left them into that mode. They didn't take ownership of them. It's almost like in the open source version, like the COE Starter Kit or any of those. It's like it's not supported exactly. However, our eyes are upon it, so we'll do a lot to make sure.
Available. Yeah.
We'll make it available. We'll do our best to support, to make it look nice and everything else. However, it technically speaking, not part of the product. When you sign up for the product and you say this is guaranteed the SLA, this stuff is considered outside. So it's use at your own risk situation, right?
Well,
so
I mean, it's like a public fair or a farmer's market, right? Those are put on by someone and they're lightly curated, but they're not guaranteeing the products that you actually are buying and coming.
Correct. I mean, they'll do their best to say, I'm not going to let that guy selling the pig's feet without the FDA approval into the market. But if they don't know that he lost his approval yesterday, what are they going to do?
Buyer beware.
Yeah, but nothing wrong with pig's feet. Just that particular pig's feet person. Now I'm getting myself hungry, frankly. Speaking of hunger, it's lunchtime coming up. We're trying to get out of here a little bit earlier on Friday. I was talking with Raquel. Raquel right now is she's about to, like, let's just say, raise her stature in her job situation over here. We'll leave it to her. If you're following her on her stream, she'll probably tell you about it. Maybe not. But otherwise, Raquel, don't forget to put in the film on the links for this particular meeting to say follow Raquel over at IndaFilm and her production company. Give them the love.
Are we going to look at Ralph's money today?
No. You kidding?
Sorry, I had to.
Let's go look at the. How about we go look at. Let's go to the back where the garbage cans are, and see what's being thrown out. No, but actually, Ralph's money is it's been in the hole for a long time. It's in the unbelievable. It's not so. It was high up in the nosebleed area. Now it's in the I'm being crushed by the pressure of the earth level.
It's not hit zero though. I mean, let's get real. So here's the thing. If we're going to talk about just
a little, yes.
2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then we're all going to go away.
Yes, okay? Yes.
So crypto had a bubble associated with the price of the crypto coins because they were speculative and people were buying them, NFTs, all that. And that bubble kind of burst, like we said it was going to, right?
That's true enough.
About this. Everyone's been talking about it. But the underlying technology is still sound, and people are still going to be using it for real business.
Well, how about putting it this way?
It's zero.
Yeah, so how about putting it this way? The fact that it is where it's at, and we see how it's working, is proof positive that the technology works. Yes. Because if the technology was suspect, then as the bubble was getting to burst, if you didn't hurt from it, then it didn't do its job. Because if it's truly agnostic, it's going to let you feel the pain. This is the point of a proper system. The proper system is truly, justice is blind situation. It's going to actually act the way it is. The market forces does this, then that's what happens. It's like, well, it's so that particular value of that thing was so terrible. It has nothing to do with the tech. It happens to do with your choice of which particular asset you picked to be in that area, which means it's doing its job. Because look, there's that piece of asset that's doing better, and this piece of asset. It's like, well, can I move from here to there? Yes, you can. Can I do all these pieces? Yes. Can you sell out? Yes. Can you sell off? Sure. Can you buy some more? Sure. It's like, and did it die because it went down? When the markets came in and brought it down to monstrous levels, did they have to close down half of New York City because nobody wanted anyone to go into the buildings to trade nothing? No, that did not happen. Like, you remember, like in live trading, remember 9/11, all the rest, where literally they shut down the entire system. There is no monetary anything happening because of whatever condition. Here's the Bitcoin world and the biggest disasters in the world, but there's no like crash that says I can't access my money. No run for the bank. Right? Now, nobody can go out there and break down the system and kill it, or do how do we say it? A run. It just doesn't happen. It moves up and down, and that's pretty much it. There's no government to come in and shore it up, or to I don't like the way my country's money is happening. I'm going to go and artificially prop it up so I can get people to think that I'm doing okay and let the propaganda do the rest. None of that.
Now, some of the coin, some of the big coin trading shops,
sure,
have shuttered. Right, they've stopped withdrawals for a certain amount of time because they have liquidity issues themselves. But the underlying coins are still kind of rolling along. Now, there have been some of the stable coins that failed. That's an interesting thing. But we said only
2 minutes,
3,
yeah.
5 minutes.
We might get back to that one though. We want to talk about how, when we say failed, what does that actually mean? But I'm going to say that technology still proves itself, especially because it's failed.
Let's talk about this the week after next. We'll talk about stable coins and kind of what happened with one or two of those and how some bad things did. But
yeah,
we
have some fun stuff for next week. We have a surprise guest for next week, so we're gonna ask you to come on back. We're gonna, I don't know, we might make news next week. I don't know. We'll see.
Who knows? All right. Thanks, everyone.
Right. Thank you. Okay, Raquel, sign us out. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. He's waving. We're doing action waves.